Today we tell a story of Jessica Guillot. In her youth, Jessica had a bit of trouble. It is reported that while she was 18, Jessica had been involved with drugs and substance abuse, in addition to her run-ins with the law, but by the time she was 21, her mother said she was making better choices. By 2013, Jessica had 2 children and was getting her life back on track, and her family was hopeful that her addictions were behind her. However, Jessica continued to struggle through her recovery. Then on September 7, 2013, she seemingly vanished without a trace. The last time anyone saw Jessica, she was walking away from her home in Simmesport, Louisiana. She had taken her daughter to her mother's residence and was gone after that. Jessica's mother would later go on to her home to try to find her, and when she arrived, she noticed that the place was in chaos. It looked as if someone ransacked the residence. Just 1 month after her disappearance, 5 people were charged with aggravated kidnapping charges and connecting to Jessica's case. Police believe Donnie Edwards, Willie Price Jr., Asia Bentley, Chadwick McGee, and Tamika Williams coordinated to abduct Jessica because she allegedly stole money and cocaine. 2 of the suspects, McGee and Bentley, were reportedly also given charges of aggravated assault with a firearm. Jessica and William were distantly related, as the missing woman's nephew is Williams' child half-brother. Reports state that when Williams took the stand, she told the court that she and the suspect drove around looking for Jessica before kidnapping her and throwing her in the back of an SUV. Edwards was reportedly behind the wheel as Bentley subdued Jessica by sitting on top of her. According to Williams, Bentley threatened to kill Jessica before choking her as she pleaded for her life. The attack was not quick, says Williams. For approximately 10 to 15 minutes, Williams testified she heard all sorts of noises behind her, including glass breaking, choking sounds, or struggling breaths, and the sound of a person being hit, in addition to the smell of feces. Williams claims she never turned around to see what was happening in the SUV because she was texting with her sister and was later dropped off at her home. Court documents stated that later that day, the suspects returned to pick up Williams, and she testified that it seemed as if McGee had been crying. Weeks later, Williams claimed she called the police and pointed them in her own direction because she was ready to tell her story, but she wanted authorities to come to her. She would add that Bentley took her to the field the following day and said he disposed of Jessica's remains there. Williams did not want to look at the aftermath, but Bentley allegedly said he planned to move the remains to another location. Investigators could not find the evidence inside of the SUV tying the suspects to a murder. Yet there was consistencies with Williams' story, like a particular broken window, because Bentley's girlfriend filed a police report stating that the vehicle had been vandalized. In the summer of 2014, McGee was convicted of simple kidnapping. He was sentenced to life in prison, but later it was vacated because the appellate court stated evidence only showed that McGee was there for a kidnapping. Still, it did not show he committed a crime or intended to participate in criminal activities. Prosecutors fought the appeal, and a life in prison sentence was later reinstated. In early 2015, both Price and Bentley were found guilty of second-degree kidnapping. By the spring, Edwards pleaded guilty to simple kidnapping. Williams secured a plea deal for her testimony. The deal called for her to plead guilty to obstruction of justice with an agreed-upon sentence of 10 years in prison, reads court documents. Price received 30 years, while Bentley was sentenced to 70 years in prison. None of the 5 suspects was charged with the death of Jessica. However, the district attorney said that if there was a witness or evidence to prove that Jessica was no longer alive, they would certainly seek murder charges. Jessica remains a missing person. At the time of her disappearance, Jessica stood 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighed 125 pounds to 135 pounds. She had black/dark brown hair and brown eyes. She has a scar on the left side of her face from the corner of her mouth towards her left cheek. Jessica has a tattoo on her left hand with the letters HBC. Her dental and DNA records are on file. Anyone with any information regarding this case is urged to contact Avoyes Parish Sheriff Department at 318-253-4000 or their local authorities. The agency case number is 13/1014/01D. Please share this story about Jessica to help bring her home. Her life matters.